Hey folks, Brian Hollock back with you on the next video segment, and we're going to jump right into the action pistol qualification, or just the pistol qualification, whatever you want to call it. I guess I should say at the outset, although I'm a proud NRA member and I support the NRA, I'm a certified NRA instructor. This video is not being done under the auspices of the NRA. The NRA hasn't endorsed or sanctioned this in any way. Certainly, I'm trying to give that little qualification out there just in case if I screw something up. I don't want anybody to assume that this was done because the NRA told us to do it this way. This is me trying to recreate this qualification program for you in as faithful a way as possible, and certainly if I make any mistakes along the way, the mistakes are mine. They certainly don't belong to the NRA. Now, if we're going to do the pistol qualification, first thing we do is we whip out our handy Winchester NRA Marksmanship Qualification Program booklet, and if we turn to page 4 and 5, and we'll put a close-up on the screen of this, this has the course of fire for the action pistol or pistol qualification, whatever you want to call it. And so you want to definitely look at this. Now let's talk about some equipment that you might need if you want to pursue the pistol qualification course. One, you're going to need 20 9-inch paper plates, and make sure they're the 9-inch ones. Read the label when you're buying them. When I went to the supermarket, they had 9-inch and they had 10-inch, and the 10-inch seemed to be a little bit more popular, I would imagine, because it's barbecue season. You know, God forbid we get the 9-inch one and we lose a little bit of potato salad here. A lot of us want the bigger plate so we could have bigger helpings. But we want the 9-inch ones. We're shooting for score on these, so 9-inch is what we're going for. Go pick these up, and with this alone, just the paper plates and some ammunition, you're ready to go. You can actually have the Pro-Marksman rating, they call it, or ranking, if you will, and you can even achieve the Marksmanship pistol rating, and you can get a really cool patch and a certificate that says that you've completed this. The next thing, if you want to run through the entire pistol program, you're actually going to need 20 of these paper plates, and you're going to need these NRA, this is the AP1 target. You can also do the AP2 target, which is actually a reduced sized version of this target. And so you're going to need, if you go with the official format, which is you can't pepper the heck out of this thing. Once you've put about 10 rounds through it, you got to do something to replace the target. Realistically, if you wanted to use new targets for every round that you do, you'd need 42 of these targets. You could also probably tape it up or make some indication of where your previous shots were. As long as you can keep track of where your previous shots were on your next course of fire, you should be okay. I would go ahead and just order these. They come in both paper and cardboard formats. It'll probably cost you all total probably 20 bucks if you went with the expensive cardboard, and a lot cheaper if you went with paper. But you're going to need some of these. If you went through all of the ratings from Pro-Marksman all the way to Distinguished Expert, assuming you did it all in one sitting and you didn't have to redo anything, you're going to need 570 rounds of ammunition. I know I can hear right now in the internet world people breathing a huge gasp. My God, 570 rounds of ammunition. Ammunition's hard to get these days. I get that. So look guys, you don't have to do all this in one sitting. In fact, if you read the course of fire, they don't actually even expect you to do this all on the same day. You can even split up the various ratings. Let's say I'm working on sharpshooter today. I could do a few of them and then stop and come back and complete it on a different day when I've got more ammo or more time. So don't feel like this has to be a marathon session. Pace yourself. It's supposed to be fun, guys. You want to go to the range, you attain marksman, you go onto the NRA website, you order your certificate that says you achieved it, you fill it in, you get your little patch, you put it on your shirt or your shooting vest, you can tell your buddies that you made marksman, and then move on to the next one some other time. Don't feel like it's all got to be one marathon session. I would also highly recommend, guys, that you get a shot timer. This one is from CED. They make them from a bunch of different companies like Pact and whatnot. You can get these at any of the major online retailers. Midway, Brownell sells them. They're really helpful, especially if you get into any kind of action pistol game like IDPA or IPSC. They're excellent to work with at home. They'll help improve your shooting. A lot of people go, how is that? Well, what they have is, as a shot timer, the way it works is you'll get an audible beep, and that's your start signal. That's your signal to start doing something. Usually you get the gun out and do whatever the course of fire requires. They usually will also contain a par time feature. And the par time feature is helpful because what you can do is you set the par time, and that's going to be a second audible beep that will come after the first one, and that's how much time you needed to get whatever it is you wanted to done accomplished. So for me, when I'm practicing at home, let's say I'm doing some dry fire practice, I can set the part time feature to a certain set of times, and then what I do is the first audible beep, I draw my gun, and I take a nice crisp dry fire shot, and hopefully I do it before the second audible beep, and I can keep scrunching my time down and go faster and faster and faster. And at some point I reach a stage where I'm drawing and trying to get my dry fire shot, and the second audible beep happens faster than I can break that. And now I know, hey, that's the barrier I'm trying to break. So it's really good for developing your skills. It's also good for a lot of the different qualifications you're going to find out there. If you were out there, you're trying to do the fast drill from pistoltraining.com, you're trying to do any of these, a shot timer is super helpful. Now listen, if you don't want to plunk down the time on a shot timer, they're not completely required for something like this. In fact, they aren't required for something like this. There just has to be some method of keeping time. You can take a tape recorder. Most of us have smartphones. They have basically a notes feature, and you could sit down with a stopwatch or even a watch, just a handheld watch, and you could just say start, and then let a certain amount of time go by, and whatever, let's say it's 20 seconds, you watch the 20 seconds go by and say stop. And then what you do is you put that recording device down in front of you when you're at the shooting rest, and you press play, and you hear start. That's your signal to start doing whatever it is you got to do. And then hopefully you get it all accomplished before you hear the stop. And that's your way of keeping time. So there's a number of ways of doing this. Frankly, the easiest one is just bring a buddy with you. Have them have a watch, and they can that's got a seconds feature, and they can just watch the seconds tick by. They're going to say start when they want you to start, and they'll say stop when they want you to stop. Hopefully you've accomplished everything. Frankly, you've done it in front of another person, which is great, and gives you some, something to brag about, something to show off, and it's a lot of fun. It's fun doing this with a friend. So, there's a number of ways you can do this, so you don't have to spend a lot of money on this. And frankly, when you're just starting out, I really wouldn't. Just go to the range, have a good time with this, start doing a few of these, and then move forward. A couple of things I should state. For all of the qualifications up to the highest one, which is Distinguished Expert. So basically, Pro-Marksman, you have Marksman, you have Sharpshooter, you have Expert. For all of those, we're working on the honor system, guys. So you go to the range by yourself, you pull these off, great. More power to you. Go to the NRA website, get yourself a certificate, fill that bad boy in. I would add that, frankly, to your training log, to show that you have developed some proficiency. And so it's really cool that way, but it is on the honor system. Nobody's got to watch you do it. You don't need a witness, except for the top one. The highest level, Distinguished Expert, they do require that you actually have a witness it. And it's going to be an NRA member. They're going to witness it. They're going to put their number down. There's actually an official form, which we'll show you here a little bit later on when we get to Distinguished Expert. And they're going to watch you do it. They're going to fill in the stuff, and you're going to send it in to have somebody show, hey, you know what, this guy really did achieve this. What we want to do, guys, is we want to do these in order. Okay, and so the ratings or rankings, if you will, are in order. The first one that comes in is something called Basic Practical. Now, Basic Practical, you don't actually shoot any qualification to get it. How you get your Basic Practical is to attend an NRA course in that discipline. So, for example, if you attend an NRA Basic Pistol class, what you're going to get is a little, what they call a rocker. It's a little patch that you could put on your shirt, for example, and it says Basic Practical. You've now achieved the first rating in sequence, okay? You don't have to attend an NRA course to do this Winchester NRA Marksmanship Qualification Program. It's recommended. It certainly will be helpful for you in your development, but it isn't required. So all you need is you get your booklet and you start going. Now, of course, if you haven't attended an NRA class, then the very first rating that you're going to get is the one that comes after basic practical. And that one is going to be Pro-Marksman. A lot of people get confused because they hear Pro-Marksman. It sounds like maybe professional marksman. It actually stands for provisional marksman. So it's actually, hey, I'm just before marksman. The next one in order is marksman, and then after that is sharpshooter, and then after that we have expert, and then the highest level is distinguished expert. Kind of cool. You can get them all in line. We'll show you some of the patches and how they look after we've earned them, and we'll line them all up, and so you can kind of take a look and see what they look like. So our goal is to go out today and let's go get Pro-Marksman and the Marksman qualification out of the pistol qualification. Now, for those of you guys that are following along, what you want to do is you want to go to page 4 of this booklet, and what it's going to do, it's going to lay out what we need to do. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to be setting out these paper plates at 15 feet. Okay, not a huge distance. You know, a good, a nice distance, especially if you're just starting off shooting a handgun. You can use any regular handgun, guys, any centerfire handgun. Basically, as long as it's, or rimfire, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. Rimfire, centerfire handgun. You bring any handgun to the table. Revolver, semi-auto is fine. We don't care what kind of sights you're using. Just bring a good, serviceable handgun to the table. You're going to need a bench rest to work from. So most commercial shooting ranges are going to have some kind of a rest. We're going to show you what it looks like inside our range and some of the shooting stalls and how you could do it from a shooting stall. We're going to actually shoot the qualification from a barrel, and the reason we're doing that is really just more so that the camera can pick up me shooting and the target so that you can get an idea of what it looks like. You don't have to do it off of a barrel. You could do it off of a regular bench rest that you have available at your regular shooting range. Let's make sure that the firearms we're using are serviceable. Guys, any guns that you're not sure how to operate, or if you're not sure if they're in good working order, let's not play around with any kind of qualifications or drills where we're pushing our skill with equipment that we're not sure about. So make sure that the gun is in good working order. You know how to work it. Clean the gun the night before you go out. We're going to be doing these drills with a Springfield XDM 9mm, and we'll go ahead and just shoot all of them straight through with that pistol, so you can, we'll just establish some consistency. But you don't have to do that. You could do it with a revolver, you could do it with a little .22, you could do it with a Ruger, Smith & Wesson, whatever you've got available to you. Go out to the range. We encourage you to do it. Now, the final thing that is really important here, guys, is the rules of safety. Now, the NRA rules of safety differ a little bit from some of the rules of safety that you might have seen on other ranges. They're actually worded in a positive, not negative way. So we want to make sure that you are aware of that, and we're going to try to start off with that every time I'm doing an intro sequence here with those rules of safety. You need to be aware of those. You need to follow those every time you're doing this. Remember, guys, again, if you're out there, you're having a good time, but you're not being safe, this is a really losing endeavor, okay? We want you to be safe when you're out there. If there's anything about what you're doing, or maybe the people that you're doing it around that you think is unsafe, just stop what you're doing, pack your gear up, go home, try it a different day, or go to a different range when you're doing it. So we want to make sure that we always keep our firearm pointed in a safe direction, and so we're not waving it around. Basically, what you want to do when you go to your range is find the safe backstop, make sure that the gun is always oriented in that direction. Always keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot the firearm, okay? So basically maintaining a high finger register, okay? We don't want that finger dwindling into the trigger guard and potentially risking an accidental discharge. And then let's always keep the firearm unloaded until we're ready to use. Sometimes people call that being on a hot range or a cold range, as opposed to a hot range where the guns are loaded up. For our pistol qualification today, we don't need that gun to be loaded in a holster or anything of that nature. So just keep the gun unloaded, keep it in whatever gun case you normally transport it in, have the ammunition separate, and then when you get to the place that you're going to do what you do, set up all the targets, get all of that ready to go, and then the very last thing you're going to do is load the pistol before you go out and do this qualification. Don't load the pistol ahead of time. Make that the very last thing you do. Then after you've done that, set the gun down, take a moment in time, think carefully, take a breath, look at the targets. One point that I'd like to make, guys, is these paper plates, we're putting them at an awfully short distance when we consider traditional shooting. 15 feet means that you need to orient this paper plate in such a way that when you shoot the firearm, the bullet travels through the target, in this case the paper plate, and impacts the backstop safely. Because the target is so close, if you put the paper plate too high, you might be aiming at the ceiling. If you make the paper plate too low, you might be shooting the floor. Because we're going to use a bunch of them, you might be tempted to put, one here, that sort of thing, and that's cool, but again, be aware of where your rounds are going. If they're too far on either side and they're very close to you, the angle is going to be more severe, and there's a possibility that you might be impacting the walls when you shoot. We're here to have fun. We want your range master to encourage you and other shooters to be doing this. Certainly if you're shooting up the walls, the floors, the ceiling, they're not going to be too happy with you, and so as a result, what's going to happen is they're not going to want you back. So let's be good custodians of our home range. Let's be good ambassadors of the Second Amendment and firearms ownership, and let's show them how we can do these things in a very safe manner that is something that everybody can participate in, have a good time, and not only we are going to be safe when we do it, but there won't be any property damage. Everything is going to be perfect that way. So we're going to head out on the range, and we're going to do our first 2 courses of fire. And what we're going to do is we'll show you both from a third person and a first person point of view what it looks like, what you should be doing. What I want to do before we get out there, and it's pretty loud on the range, I want to basically let you know there isn't a pre-arranged orientation for the targets. Okay, so I'm going to basically lay out the targets in such a manner that I think I could shoot them safely and hit the backstop. But don't feel like you've got to do it the way I did it. You just have to have the target out to 15 feet and then shoot it in the manner that's prescribed by the course of fire. Okay, so lay it out, get it there, make sure the rounds will impact the backstop, and then go forth and have fun. So we're going to head on to the range, and let's take it away from there.